All right. Welcome to the Mercer FCA podcast, episode number 17 with Kendall Barnes representing the Mercer Women's Lacrosse team. And very excited to have you on, Kendall. And tell us a little bit about yourself. So go ahead and start with quick little bio, where like you're from, what was your family life like? Try to tell us everything.
Okay. My name is Kendall Barnes. As Bud said, I'm on the Mercer Women's Lacrosse team. I transferred here this fall. So I was at the University of Pittsburgh for 2 years prior. I am from Towson, Maryland, which is about 30 minutes north of Baltimore. So most of the time I say Baltimore and people get a little freaked out because they're like, you're from the... No, I'm not from Baltimore City. But I have two younger sisters. One of them is a freshman in high school now, and it's so crazy that they're growing up. I don't like it. And then one of them is in sixth grade. Family life, growing up from sixth grade on, I went to an all-girls Catholic private school. So that was kind of the norm where I'm from. I really liked that whole dynamic. I was a peer minister there my senior year, so I was able to give out communion and I would help with our church services and organize those. Both of my sisters go there now, so they wanted to follow in my footsteps. But other than that, me and my family have belonged to the same church since I was born. It's not as traditional. It's kind of like, it's not a super like rock and roll church, but it's not as formal. My mom was a peer minister and a small group leader there as well. A fun fact is when I was getting confirmed my freshman year of high school, that on our confirmation retreat is where I met my boyfriend, and we've been dating ever since. So we kind of say that God brought us together. Like, it wasn't through social media or anything. It was just pure connection. So yeah, that's a little bit about
Man,
me.
that is wow. Super awesome. I mean, just with all of that there. So let's kind of go back. So growing up, obviously being the oldest of of the family. And it seems like you had a good amount of time growing up before the next sibling got there, So what were some of those early family life like when it was just you and your mom and dad, and just and just kind of go from there?
So I was about 5 years old, 5 or 6, whenever my second sister was born. Obviously when you're little, you're like, I want another sibling to play with. So I was very excited. But honestly, growing up, like, I was also the first grandchild on my dad's side. So a lot of the attention was on me a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm that type of person. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. But I think growing up, especially in the church, like I said before, my mom was really involved with it. So we had this thing at our church where they still host it, but to make everyone the most engaged, they kind of separate the kids from the adults at some point, like to teach the kids the same lesson, but in like kid form. And my mom would be one of those leaders. So I always thought it was cool. Like, I get to go backstage with her, and, like, do all that stuff. That's kind of how like my journey started. Is my whole family has been always like consistent with going to church and everything, and I really looked up to all of them. Other than that, like, my dad has two brothers, my mom has a brother, so it's always been a pretty big family. And other than that, like, being the only child for so long, like I was saying, it was nice to have the attention, but I was ready for another sibling.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So all right, so were you always involved in sports, and when did that kind of start for you, and how active were you in all the sports?
Yeah. I always say, like, I always tell people, since I was the first child, I was kind of the tester child, like what sports stuck. Both of my parents played college sports. My mom played tennis at Frostburg, and my dad played basketball at IUP. So they were like they wanted me to try every sport.
Sure.
Being from Maryland, lacrosse is a big sport, a big sport. So neither of my parents played it, surprisingly, but
Mhm.
they were like, "Hey, let's just try it out." My mom had tried to get me into tennis. I'd played basketball since until I was in eighth grade, and I was just like, not
Yeah.
my thing. But I started playing lacrosse when I was 5, I think,
Oh,
in
wow.
like in a little like rec league, which obviously in Maryland it's pretty common to have
Hmm.
like there's a lot of rec leagues. But a fun fact about that is when in women's lacrosse, like we do the draw, which is in the air, and the men's do the face off, which is on the
Hmm.
ground. And my parents had no idea what to do, so they were teaching me how to do a face off for like half the year. And I was like 6 years old, and I was like, okay, yeah. And then I get to one of the games, and I'm like, what is this
Where's
draw?
the face off? I've been
Yeah,
like,
where's
I've
the
been
face off?
practicing this my entire life.
Yeah. Um, Other than that, like I started when I was 5. I would say club, um, like travel teams kind of started around
Mhm.
6th grade. And that's when I joined my travel team that I stayed with until senior year of high school.
Mm.
So I got like that's a really fun experience to be with the same girls for that long and
Mhm.
build really nice relationships. Other than that, like when I was younger, I played soccer for a little while,
Mhm.
and then in middle school, I switched to field hockey, which I really liked. I liked field hockey a lot. I was not very good at soccer, and as much as my dad tried to get me to be good at basketball, I was not good at basketball. So, but I always say like I always tried the like karate and like
Wow.
uh my grandfather played racquetball a lot, so he'd try to get me to play racquetball. And so I tried a handful of interesting
Yeah.
sports, but
Yeah.
lacrosse is the one that stuck.
So you have a wide range of sports
Hmm. Oh yeah.
experience, just
Hmm.
kind of playing everything, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And obviously, like growing up in that area with that many sports to choose from, once you come down
Hmm.
south, it's typically just the big three,
Hmm.
and then other than
Yeah.
that, but like, just to have that kind of experience, which is huge. Obviously, to have two parents that play college sports, so
Hmm.
kind of naturally born into it, knowing that, man, you're
Right.
going to be an athlete of some kind. We just got to find the sport for you.
Hmm.
So, like, tell me about the rest of your siblings. Like, did they kind of follow that as well? Like, have they
Hmm.
been playing sports?
So my the sister that is a freshman, also she plays lacrosse.
Hmm.
She's also on a very competitive travel team as well. She played basketball until 8th grade, like me, didn't play this year,
Yeah.
but she played soccer. I did not pass the field hockey gene down to anyone,
Mhm.
so soccer it is. She didn't try as many sports as I did, just because I think my parents kind of got it down. Most kids do field hockey, soccer, basketball.
Yeah.
Volleyball's been one that's been getting up there a little bit. My youngest sister wants to try that out. But my younger sister, she also plays travel lacrosse, but she also plays travel basketball. She loves basketball, which
Mm.
is very interesting. And she's very good at it. I was not me, but she's also still at that age where like whatever season she's in, she loves that sport.
Yeah.
So
All in.
yeah, so she plays um basketball and lacrosse. She just stopped playing travel soccer just because my mom was like, okay, you gotta pick at
Mhm.
least two. Like, I can't, it's too much. And then the freshman-year-old sister, she did play soccer. She played travel soccer as well, but obviously, since she's in high school, she just does
Yeah.
high school soccer now. My freshman sister also, when she was little, was very good at gymnastics, um,
Okay.
which it was, yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere, but she's also, being the middle child, she's very stubborn, and they would make her practice a lot, and she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So she just stopped. And my mom was like, well, she was 5 years old going to these intermediate level classes, and the teachers were like, we
Wow.
need her to be here. Like, she's really good. And she was like, I'm too tired. I don't want to do it.
Right.
So
Right.
that stopped that.
Man. All right. So, so now obviously athletic family. I mean, everybody in the family is that way. So being drawn to sports, how was that for you in terms of learning how to compete and learning how to, have that kind of competitive spirit, that competitive fire? Was that something that, you kind of always had from the early age, or did you have to kind of work on that and really work on trying to win?
Yeah. I think as an athlete, you're always going to have ups and downs. Like, I think sometimes that fire, like, it can be lost at some point, and you have to do things to be like, okay, like, you almost have to tell yourself, like, this is supposed to be fun. Like, I can't let it determine, like, the rest of my day. I think that's something I always used to struggle with, is like, if you don't do good at practice, it's stuck in your head the rest of the day, and then you just like keep thinking about it. And but competitiveness wise, I think that also it helped being from the area that I'm from. Like, everyone's very competitive at my sport, so like you could be like, there are a lot of people from other programs where like in other states where they're the best on their team, and they get to college and then they kind of realize, like, I came here for this sport, so did this person. I think that's what helped me stay so competitive, is because everyone in my area was going to school for lacrosse. Like, you had to stay on top of your game. And like, one thing I always say is, my senior year, my team, we were a team of 32 on varsity, and there were 16 seniors, and all 16 were going D1 for lacrosse. And there's not even so there's not even enough space to play 16 people on a field.
Man.
Yeah.
That's unreal. All right, so I gotta ask, did y'all win state championship that year?
We made it to the semifinals. We didn't even win everything. So there were even teams, like, it's pretty we played in the best conference, I would say, in the country, like, with because the private school league in Maryland, like, our public school league isn't as strong, but our private school league is very, very strong. So yeah, you just had, I think, even senior year, like, the fact that we went into that season and all of us, like, we still had to compete for our spots, because there, like, even the talent below us, like, there was a freshman on that team who just committed, or she's a senior now, but she is going to Maryland, and she is the #1 recruit in the country. So obviously you had to have her on that field, which took a spot away from one of our seniors. And it was like a constant, it was a healthy battle, but like, it was because we knew we wanted to win. Like, we wanted to be the best for our school. Because our program was just kind of like, we'd always been in the middle of the conference, or sometimes at the bottom, but we got a new coach and we were like, okay, he's going to help us get there. Like, we have to go all out for him. Like, we want this for him.
Yeah.
And we want to show that, like, we're competing so he can get kids to come here. Like, it's kind of crazy that when you think about it, like, the high schools in that conference, like, recruit kids from middle school. Like, it's literally college 2.0. Like, you're going out and scouting kids at club tournaments and, like, inviting them to shadow at your high school. And you're just like, what? I was like, I've been here since 6th grade. I'm by default, I'm here. So I was like, but yeah, I think competitiveness, like, even with travel too, going through that recruiting summer and being on a team where every kid wants to play D1, everyone wants to go to that big school. So, and you're having coaches, like, line your sidelines, because if it's my club team also consistently was in the top 5 in the country. So we would, like, when we would play a competitive game, like, it was a lot of coaches, and keeping that like focus on like you need to go out there and have fun with your teammates and not look over there and freak out.
Yeah.
You know, like you need to just play your game and not like overthink too much, because once you start noticing like who's there, is this coach coming, I need to whatever, like
Yeah.
then you just we all would just get in our head and freak out, and then our coach would get mad because he'd be like, what's
Yeah.
going on, why is there no what's going, like we should be beating this team, and we're all just sitting there like this is especially that first tournament that summer when you realize like, oh wow, I'm a junior in high school, like this is happening, like I need to, because you're also like, I need to do my best, like this is my shot, like this coach could show up right now and not show up to any of my games over the summer.
Right.
So keeping that like competitive edge even as a team, like to make these people keep coming back and getting people like recruited to your high school, like that sets, I even think about that now, like if we didn't have that season my senior year, what would my high school team look like now, because that kind of put us on the map a little bit. So I just think about that even as like a team, even at Mercer too, like we're known for winning our conference every year and going to that NCAA tournament, and we always get to the tournament, and now my coach is like, I want to win that first round, I don't care who it is, I want to win. Like that's the statement we need to make. Like we make our statement enough winning our conference and making it to that tournament, but we need to take it to that next level and like compete for that first round win.
Oh, this is about to get me off on a whole other topic. So let's shift it back and a little bit, talk about kind of growing up in the church, but we're definitely going to come back to this because I want to talk more about that, being super competitive and having like the the eyes on you at all times, knowing that you have to perform well. So we're definitely going to come back to that. So, all right. So now, growing up, having both your parents active in the church, and just like you said, it was awesome to kind of be backstage and feel like you're really a part of it with the adults that are really serving like a lot of the time. Like how did you kind of grow your faith, like your own personal faith, like instead of kind of living vicariously through your parents? How did it really start to kind of get into you?
I mean, I think when I was in middle school, it was kind of my choice to go to this Catholic school. Obviously, like you were saying, my parents, but it really was my choice. And they were saying, like, you can go to public school, you can try that out, because I went to a public elementary school. And I was like, you know what, I just want to try, because I also like smaller classroom sizes.
Sure. Yeah.
And they offered that for me. But I think like almost when you're that young and you're like, I want to be like, I want to take religion classes and I want to actually take this like seriously and take it home to my family and like teach them. I think that's something that was really important that I learned very young. And then which is also difficult in middle school because a lot of like even now people don't talk about it. Like I wasn't talking about, oh, with my friends, like me and my family go to church and like we're involved and all that stuff. But I think I just tried to stay as consistent as I could with like if I wasn't going to church on Sundays with my family, like making sure I did something at school. Like we had masses often.
Yeah.
And we had a chapel at school. Obviously, we're taking religion class, like praying before in every class, every meal, like keeping up with that stuff. And even journaling, like sometimes instead of sitting there and just praying into like thoughts, which can sometimes be hard for me, like writing things down, that always helped me a lot. And then up until my senior year, my junior year, we had a class called 1804, which is you take your senior year instead of a religion class and you have to apply in order to get into the class. And this is the class that I became a peer minister. So basically I had to apply with anyone else in my grade that wanted to, and they select probably 10 to 12 girls out of our grade. I mean, our grade wasn't very large. We were a class of 86, I think. So, but it was very selective. A lot of people applied because they wanted to be involved. And then in that class, like we had to write our own testimony and share it with each grade. So that was very like emotional and touching. Like, because we planned retreats for each grade, so we had to go through and read our testimony to each of them. And then we also did things like trying to make the masses more intentional and engaging instead of like someone just speaking. So we would bring different priests in, like some of them would sing and some of them would like, we would do fun things where like they would have themes like flowers and stuff like that. But I think like what also helped me is you had teachers there that believed in you as well. Like they encouraged it. And so you could kind of go to any of them and like openly talk about how you're feeling. It also helped that my peer minister teacher was connected with my church too. So I would I like to go to her, and then our other teacher who was a male, he was also very like, you would be running, like there was one time I was running to a test and I was like, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to do well. And he was like, okay, I'll go in the chapel and pray for you that you're going to do well. And so he sat in the chapel until I was done my test and just prayed the whole time. So little stuff like that. It really like just kept encouraging me. I think it just helped me to be in an environment that encouraged me to be strong in my faith.
Man, that's so, you know, from me growing up in South Georgia, going to a public school, like I can't even relate to, you know, like actually sitting down in a class and learning about the Bible and like, you know, kind of going through it like that as a student. Which is just so awesome for me to be able to hear that people have like that kind of experience, and that is part of their story. So with you and your like experience in that, what was like one class or one, you know, topic that really drew you into the Bible? Like what was something that really got it going for you?
Trying to think. I honestly think like obviously most of the classes are your like the classes we take here where it's like engaging the New Testament and things like that, like pretty much along those lines. But to reiterate, I think the class that really like stuck out to me was my class senior year, just because you were able to like take all the knowledge that I'd been learning the past 6 years and kind of like create lessons by yourself. Like they were kind of just like, okay, you plan the mass, like you have to do it. You guys have to figure out how to do it. Like we're not helping you. So I think that was something for me where I was like, wow, I can take all the knowledge that I've learned through my personal church and the classes you've given me to build my own mass, and also like be able to connect it with my classmates that were like me in high school, middle school, like believing in our faith, but still a little like, oh, I don't want to be out there, tell my friends. But like being able, our biggest thing senior year was like being able to show people that it was okay to like express that, hey, I really do like going to mass, or I like church this week at school. Maybe I'm gonna try to go on Sunday, see what they're gonna teach me and see if I can like connect the two, or things like that. And being able to also write my own testimony, because obviously at first you're like, oh, what am I gonna write about? Like I don't know, like nothing big has happened in my life. And then like you sit there and think about it for a while and you're like, wow, there's actually a lot of things I can write about. And also being able to hear everyone else's testimonies as well. I think that was just a class that really helped me, because you got to see that, hey, like I heard her testimony, I heard hers, like we're not alone, like we're all here in this class for a reason, because we like believe in what we're learning.
I love that y'all, you know, got a chance to write your testimony and to be able to share that. And just like you said, like I have personally felt this, and I've heard this from a lot of other people. Whenever it's time for them to kind of share their testimony, it's always like, okay, like, I don't have some, I was in the middle of a gutter and like I felt God come, like I don't have a story like that. But then once you start kind of going back through your life and you start kind of looking at the things or honestly seeing the different roads that you could have went down and the different paths that could have taken, and maybe, now kind of realize that, man, I did go down the wrong path here, but God was right here the entire time, and he was able to pull me back or, get me back on the right course. And so, like, it's always a good for the believer to be able to go back and just know that, man, your story is powerful. Like there is some power in your testimony, even though it may not be some crazy story or anything, but there is still a lot of power in that. And there's, God is all over it. And so, like, with this, like, as y'all are taking these classes and as you're kind of finishing up your senior year here, did you have a lot of classmates that were like, man, I want to get into the ministry now?
I don't, like, not that I knew of, but I know one of our class assignments was to find like FCA or something within our college campus. So we spent a lot of time doing research. I don't I know a lot of them were consistent with going to church, but I think that was the biggest thing is our teachers wanted to make sure that all of us had a resource at our college. So I think some of them are consistent with that. I know I was consistent with it, but yeah, I think that was the biggest thing is making sure everyone had guidance going into college. Because that can be kind of some people just are like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't have time. I don't have time,
right. Yeah. Okay, now let's go back to playing high level sports. Like when did you kind of realize, as as you're playing all these sports and you finally kind of find your sport, okay, this is where this is my track. When did it hit for you of like, okay, not only is this my sport, but I want to play it at a higher level?
I think I knew when I was probably in 7th grade, maybe, because I think obviously being from Maryland, you grow up going to those Maryland women's lacrosse games, and you're like, wow, this is crazy, and you take your team trips down to College Park, and you just sit there, and you're like, wow, I want to be like these girls when I'm older, I remember memories of me standing there waiting for them to go in the locker room, being like, I hope they give me a high five, stuff like that, which is it's crazy to think that we're at that age now. And young girls like that look up to us. I think that's wild and so awesome. But yeah, I think being from the area I'm from and playing at that high level since I was younger, it wasn't I wouldn't say expected because obviously even people on my high level lacrosse team, some of them were just I just like being with you guys. I don't see a future for this, but I'm having fun, which is not, there wasn't an expectation that everyone had to play. But I just realized that I loved it so much and I had so many role models besides my parents accessible to me, going down to Maryland or Loyola or Hopkins, just being able to watch all that in person. I think that's when I realized I wanted to play at a higher level. And then I just took that all the way through junior year when recruiting was starting.
And so you kind of spoke on this too, of just with, as you already told us, I mean, you had so many girls that were going to play D1. So when did it kind of hit for you of okay, there's going to be scouts here today. We can't be super nervous. They're always here. When did you kind of flip the switch? Okay, if it's just another game now.
Yeah. I think that all started summer going into junior year. So, that's when recruiting kicks off and that's when they can come to the games whenever they want. And I just remember being at my first club tournament. I remember exactly where it was. And we just stepped onto the field and it was there was this much room between fields, and you had two good teams playing on this one. You had our team and another good team playing on this one, and you literally couldn't walk to your water bottle because it was just crowded. And I just remember sitting there with my team, and I was like, okay, we need to take a deep breath. We can't freak ourselves out. Like, just, you know what? Just don't even go get your water. We'll get water we'll ask our parents for water. I was like, we just need to not freak out and not look over there, because that's not going to help anyone. And we need to be there for each other, and we need to be there for our coaching staff. Like, and we know we want to win. Like, we want to win. And I was like, that's what we should be focused on. And I think the hardest part sometimes when you're going through recruiting and it's a team sport is that's when like selfishness can come into play, because you want to, obviously there's people here, you want to show off. But like, I think after you get that first game or that first tournament under your belt, you kind of realize like coaches aren't going to look for that. They're going to look for the selfless players, and they're going to look for the team that's winning because they're playing together, not because they have one person that they're like, okay, she's just gonna go, and then they're like, they win because off of someone's back. So I think that was something that we had to really like come together and think, like, understand, is that we need to be selfless and like really be there for each other through that. And obviously, like, when you start recruiting, that's a hard time too, because you don't want to talk to your teammates about it, but you want everyone to like succeed, and you hope like everyone's doing their best and stuff like that. So I think that is the biggest thing that I took out of recruiting. But it's definitely a stressful time. But if you play well because you're a team, then that's all like coaches can ask for, I feel like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, I've been trying to watch the clock. Like, I know you have to go to practice. So there's still a lot more that I definitely want to talk about. But so now, all right. So now, once this is happening, and you start kind of getting used to it, you start kind of realize, okay, the coaches are just trying to look for this kind of player anyway. Let's just go out and play like this. What was the recruiting of it like? Like, what all, what schools were you talking to? How tough was that choice? And what kind of helped you make that final choice?
Well, my recruiting process was pretty rare because I've had to go through it twice. So the first time around, obviously, like, it's very stressful just because it's September 1 at midnight, and you're just like sitting there like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And something that was also unique to the start of my process is the organization inside Lacrosse, which kind of runs like all of our stats and like media and stuff like that. They decided to have the first ever women's Midnight Mayhem or something tournament. So they made the top 6 teams in the country come together on August 31st, and they made us play games until 10 p.m. So we were awake on September 1st at midnight.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a school night, which is even better. But I was like, my mom was like, do I really have to drive to Delaware to do this? So I'm like, I guess. Like, and of course, that was the one year they did it, and then they stopped after that because I think they were like, but I think it's very stressful, like, at first, just because with recruiting, you obviously learn that coaches have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and you don't know which tier you're on. I always say recruiting is like dating. Like, you're like, do they like me? I like them. I don't know what's going on. Obviously, you have some rejections that are hard to take. I had a few of those. But other than that, I landed at the University of Pittsburgh, and I think I landed there because they were in the ACC, which is the most competitive conference in women's lacrosse, and I wanted to challenge myself. They believed in me, and they believed that I could play in that conference, so I wanted to go there. I liked the coaching staff. Obviously, being from Baltimore, not a lot of people like Pittsburgh, but I liked the resources, everything they had to offer me. So that's why I made my choice. And then the second time around, first time, I think I committed around October 15th, which is still a little fast. I always say that recruiting is getting faster and faster because we have social media and
Yeah.
people post, oh, I'm committing here. So then you're like, oh my God, I have to commit, or I'm gonna like, it's gonna be bad. Like I have to commit or else. And which I wish wasn't the case. But second time around when the transfer portal opened, definitely went even faster just because summertime, you don't have a lot of time to decide.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I found here as my home because what's funny is my roommate, I played with her sister at Pitt. So, um, what happened is our last travel tournament at Pitt, I was coincidentally my teammate at Pitt's or her roommate. I was like her travel roommate.
Okay.
And so I remember telling her, hey, like and she was a senior. So I was like, hey, I'm entering the portal. And she was like, oh my God, I have to call my sister and tell her to talk to Coach Sam and blah. And I was like, yeah, oh, that'd be awesome. Like, whatever. And then one of my high school teammates also goes here. So, and is in my grade. So she always speaks so highly of it. And then I got down here and I think I committed like a week later. I remember I had a few visits after that. And I remember and I went on a few before that, but I was like, this just feels right, Coach Sam. And she kept saying, like, I can see you here, like I can see it. And I was like, I can too. And so after that, I remember I was like, I'm supposed to get on a flight tomorrow morning, but I don't want to go. Like, I want to just commit to your school. Like, I want to come here. And she was like, let's do it. So that was my process the second time around. But it's definitely been, I've been saying to everyone that's been asking me at home, that's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
I love it so much. You don't even realize until like you're in it that you're like, wow, this is two different experiences.
Man, whenever you talk about just the social media side of it and how quickly it goes now. So trying to date myself here, but whenever I was doing this, you had to actually have a camcorder and you would take a VHS and just record yourself. And then you had to hand write a letter to send and try to mail it to the college. So it's like just hearing and just seeing how quickly it goes now and just how, fast decisions are made based on that it's just a whole other world now. But look, we are going to have to do a part 2 of this at some point because there's still a whole lot more that I would love to talk to you about. But I know that you do have to go to practice. And so for those that are out there listening, once again, thank y'all for supporting FCA, something we have been trying to do here through the podcast, because everything about FCA is fully faith funded, meaning we are fully supported by people giving to what we are doing. And so we started this back in the first semester. We are looking for 12 families that would like to donate $40 a month to the FCA here on the campus, and it goes 100% to everything that we are doing on the campus, the weekly meetings, the stuff with the coaches, supporting this podcast and everything like that. So all of the links are in there. So if you are thinking about it, please think about it, please pray about it, and then obey what God is telling you to do. But we would love your support to be able to keep all of this going. We are still doing our weekly FCA huddles every Wednesday night. We just started last night, had another great turnout for that here for the spring semester as well. So super excited about that. We pretty much got a brand new team of for the football players. So we got a bunch of new players that came last night for the first time, which is awesome. And it just really puts the urgency on, we got to get the gospel to these athletes and to these coaches, because they may only be here for 6 months. The transfer portal is going to hit again, and who knows what's going to happen after that. So we have to be very urgent about this, about trying to get the gospel in and, do these Bible studies and everything like that. So, once again, just think about it. Please pray about it. All of the links are located here through all the podcasts, no matter where you are listening to this or trying to watch it. It's all on there. And please give to what we are doing. But Kendall, thank you so much once again. I know you have to go to practice, and I know it's getting cold and very windy out there as well. But I'm sure you're already used to it. This is just
yeah,
right?
It's fine.
But we will definitely do a part 2 coming up. Yes. I can't wait to have you back on, Kendall.
I'm excited to come back. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much. We'll see you guys next week here on the Mercer FCA podcast.